In the weekend sunshine, an attempt on the life of an off-duty police officer by dissident Republicans.
This was a viable device. It contained explosives. It was designed to kill.
It's just weeks since the same ideology left 29-year-old Lyra McKee dead as she watched rioting in Londonderry.
Can you say that you don't support armed struggle?
Well, I would be hesitant to say anything in relation to armed struggle, because I would have to qualify that statement should that be the statement I made.
You don't support it. I
mean,
it's not an offence.
Well, you could, but I choose not to.
On an Easter night in Cregan, two different visions collided, one looking forward with hope. That of Lyra McKee, who from childhood wanted to be a journalist.
I mean, I know this is my vocation, this is just what I want to do.
The other, dedicated to continuing conflict.
When you put a gun under a child's hand and they shoot it, that's murder.
Lyra McKee described herself as a peace baby. The end of the armed conflict of the Troubles was a defining feature of her young life. For these dissidents, the end of the Troubles represented a similar watershed moment, but unlike Lyra McKee, they lived their lives in opposition to that peace. Dissident republicanism lives on. Lyra McKee is dead. Do you think that people with information about Lyra McKee's murder should go to the police?
No.
Tonight, Spotlight asks why dissidents continue to defy democracy in favour of bombs and bullets. For centuries now, Irish Republicans have periodically taken up arms against what they see as an illegitimate British presence in Ireland. The killers of Lyra McKee see themselves as the latest incarnation of that tradition, following on from the old IRA of the War of Independence and the Provisional IRA during the Troubles. And despite millions of people in Ireland, north and south, endorsing the Good Friday Agreement and peace, the new IRA persists. It admits itself it has no hope of military victory, but simply wants to keep alive the flame of armed republicanism for another generation. The Good Friday Agreement was meant to change our landscape. Marissa McGlinchey, an academic and an expert on dissidents, explained the new IRA doesn't believe it changed anything for republicanism.
Well, when you look at so-called dissident Republicans, a key thing that I often say to people about this is that if you were at their commemorations throughout Ireland today, you would hear the exact same message articulated that you would have heard at, say, Provisional or Sinn Féin commemorations back in the 70s or 80s. And so it's that traditional Irish Republican message, that traditional Irish Republican aspiration for a 32-county independent Ireland.
A year before Lyra McKee was murdered, just yards away, a group of men gathered in Cregan for an illegal commemoration, organised by CIRU. It's widely believed to be the political wing of the new IRA, something it vehemently denies. Last month, prominent CIRU member Thomas Ash Mellon left a court hearing over the illegal parade. The BBC's Ireland correspondent, Emma Vardy, asked the questions many wanted answered.
People see you as having endorsed the violence which killed Lyra McKee, Mr. Mellon. How do you justify that? How do you justify that, Mr. Mellon?
CIRU claims to be a political movement, its members simply activists. This is Thomas Mellon speaking at its first Ardèche in 2016.
Strong, principled, revolutionary party is a necessary development to further the aim of an Irish Socialist Republic.
Mellon comes from a line of prominent Derry Republicans. This is him last year at the funeral of his father, Stephen Mellon, believed to have been an IRA man during the Troubles. Stephen Mellon named his son after Thomas Ashe, an iconic Republican who died on hunger strike in 1917. Despite now claiming to be simply a political activist, Mellon followed in the family tradition. In 1999, a year after the Good Friday Agreement, Mellon, then a young member of the Provisional IRA, was caught with bomb-making materials in Donegal.
23-year-old Thomas Ashe Mellon was charged with possession of explosive material, including 3 bags of fertiliser, 3.5 litres of methylated spirits, a heavy-duty gas ring, a heater tank, an electric element, a black powder substance, mixing bowls.
The charges
pans,
were later dropped.
buckets, plastic funnels, aluminium cut down.
That same year, Lyra McKee was just 9 years old, growing up in North Belfast. And, as her childhood progressed, she found her voice and the career she wanted.
While Lyra McKee from St Gemma's Secondary School was studying for her GCSEs, she wrote an article about suicide in North Belfast, and it's won her the UK Sky Young Journalist Award.
It's given me a big confidence boost. It's shown me what I can do, and it's also definitely, it's mapped out my career for me. I know this is my vocation, this is just what I want to do. It's my love of my life.
This is a story of 2 contrasting lives and 2 different views of how we should live in this place. Thomas Ashe Mellon was born into hardline Republican ideology and has spent his whole life immersed in it. To those who knew her, Lyra McKee lived her life pursuing truth, embracing diversity and symbolic of change. A life well lived and now cut short. Lyra's friends in her adopted home city of Derry are a close-knit group. I met them to talk about their memories of Lyra and what happened on the night of her death. Thank you all so much. Sinead Quinn was beside Lyra and Lyra's partner Sarah at the riot.
Lyra contacted me, we'd all been in contact. I went and picked Lyra and Sarah up. So when we arrived, it just seemed to be like any other riot.
It was around now that Lyra, a popular Twitter user, tweeted for the last time.
In Derry, there's been rioting quite frequently in the last few years, and there was no sense that anything was different to the usual. About 5 minutes from arrival, Lyra was a few feet to the right of me, and there was cheering coming from the foot of the street where the burning was happening. There was a burning car and a burning van, and periodically in that 5-minute period there was what I would call a pop, and it was parts of the car that were exploding.
Another of Lyra's friends, Claudine, was down at the other end of the street from Sinead and Lyra.
We were beside the burning car, and the tyres started to pop on it, and I kind of got a wee bit edgy. As we started to walk back, the crowd got very jovial and cheering and really excited.
And there was just a sense that you needed to turn it on. I still don't know why or how, but somebody must have figured out that something was happening.
Somebody had shouted.
And I stopped and looked to my left to look for Sarah and Lyra.
I turned back round and could see the gunman walking across.
Next thing was I could see then Sarah, seeing Lyra on the ground. There was a lot of commotion, a lot of chaos.
Just how you randomly fire. I knew, my heart of hearts, that she had been shot.
It was just that unbelievable.
Didn't think this could be me.
No.
Within 24 hours of Lyra McKee's murder, politicians, clergy, police and the people of Derry gathered in Cregan to remember her and to hear the powerful words of her grief-stricken partner.
Our hopes and dreams and all of her amazing potential was snuffed out by a single barbaric act. This cannot stand. Lyra's death must not be in vain, because her life was a shining light in everyone else's life, and her legacy will live on in the light that she's left behind. Thank you.
A few days later, on Easter Monday, Lyra's friends came to protest at Junior McDade House, Sero's headquarters in the centre of Derry. Mellon and other Sero activists looked on.
It was Kathleen that had says, if we do the handprint, I think that would be more symbolic because of the blood on their hands.
Nobody wants these. Nobody. They need to take responsibility today for what has happened. They've shirked it so far by saying it was an accidental shooting. You don't shoot somebody accidentally. When you put a gun into a child's hand and they shoot it, that's murder. It doesn't matter, it's murder. And they murdered Lyra McKee.
Despite their impassive presence at the protest, Sero swiftly removed all signs of what took place from the building.
What happened here at Junior McDade House on the day of that protest was a rare meeting between grieving victims and the mouthpieces of those responsible for inflicting that grief. A symbolic contrast between a young woman seen by many as representing the progressive, enlightened values of today, and men who appear trapped in a vicious cycle of conflict from the past.
The organisation responsible for Lyra McKee's murder, the new IRA, was formed in 2012, an amalgamation of different dissident Republican groups. One of those groups was the Derry-based Republican Action Against Drugs, or RAD. Eamon McDermott is a journalist in the city.
Now that group had first initially began after several members of the Provisional IRA who were disaffected with the movement, either over the peace process, over policing, over decommission or whatever. And they decided that the PSNI were either unable or unwilling to police what they saw as their areas. So they set themselves up as almost like a vigilante force.
In a 5-year period, there were 40 shootings in Derry and a trail of victims whose lives were shattered.
They fell to the floor. They shot at me early night, can't feel my legs.
I got the message to present my son to Cregan to get shot. And in between that, Sean was sent word through another third party that if he didn't present himself, that he'd be shot by a shotgun.
RAD set itself up as a sham alternative police force, targeting alleged drug dealers. It then turned its targets on the police themselves. This blast bomb attack in Cregan, its first against the PSNI.
They said at the time that it was because of police harassment, and initially I suppose they were trying to present themselves as a defensive move, that, you know, we're interested in shooting drug dealers here, but the police are coming down heavy-handed, so therefore we have to oppose the police.
In 2012, RAD amalgamated with other dissident Republicans who saw the police as their primary enemy.
Well, they amalgamated because, say, once they started attacking the police, then they were another dissident group. They were attacking the state, and this new IRA, its stated aim is to I'd say, Brits out, get the British out of Ireland, and so therefore it was a natural progression for RAD then to move into this amalgamation and become the new IRA.
Joining together with RAD in 2012 were elements of the real IRA, as well as other independent Republicans. The new IRA was formed.
Comrades, I would like to welcome you to the open session of our inaugural Ardèche.
4 years after the new IRA was founded, the organisation widely believed to be its political wing, CERU, got up and running.
We would consider ourselves a revolutionary socialist organisation. Would be opposed to capitalism in all its forms. We'd have capitalist interests.
This is CERU's first TV interview since the murder of Lyra McKee. I asked its representative Dee Fennell about its position on armed struggle.
It's very hard to give a personal opinion on that. Constitutionally, we believe that the Irish people have the right to use any and all means to affect Irish freedom. I mean, that would be CERU's stated position. I think that's consistent with every Republican organisation.
Isn't it the case that people in Ireland, north and south, millions of people have continually, consistently given their view on this Republican adherence to armed struggle, and they don't want it, they want it to end? Surely it's very arrogant of you and your organisation, just a handful of people, to take a different view and to say that you're right and all those people are wrong.
When you're making the assumption there that I support armed struggle, I haven't said I support armed struggle.
So you, just to be clear, you don't personally support armed struggle then?
I didn't say that either. What I'm saying is I'm hesitant to make any comment that could be then construed as indirectly supporting what's termed terrorism under the terms of the Terrorism Act.
I suppose then the question is, if you are concerned about breaching that legislation, then people can draw an inference that in fact you're not able to say that you don't support armed struggle.
Well, they could draw an inference and they can make an assumption, but that's all it would be. It would be an assumption.
Can you say that you don't support armed struggle?
Well, I would be hesitant to say anything in relation to armed struggle, because I would have to qualify that statement should that be the statement.
You can say you don't support it. I mean, it's not an offence.
Well, you could, but I choose not to.
CERU claims to be purely a political movement, albeit one which appears to support armed struggle. But not all dissident Republicans, sceptical about the Good Friday Agreement, believe in continued violence. West Belfast man Gerard Hodgins, who was jailed twice for provisional IRA attacks, went to CERU's first Ardèche, but was unimpressed by what he heard. How did you feel when you heard the news about what had happened to Lyra McKee?
It struck me bad, because it met her a few weeks beforehand. She was down in the house, was sat for a couple of hours. She loved my dog and he loved her, and so it hit me in that way, because this is somebody that I know, rather than it wasn't another stranger, which sometimes it's a statistic.
Did it make you angry?
It made me angry. It made me angry because, well, that wasn't the type of person you could dislike. You know, we had a good yarn, sat for a couple of hours, and so it hit me that way, that that's a complete and total waste, and it's not worth trying to keep alive the dream of the Provost if it means that people like Lyra are dying.
Well, what do you think is the moral difference between your participation during the Troubles and what they're doing now? What makes the two morally different?
The difference was that whenever the provisional IRA was come into being in December of 1969, many thousands of people had been put out of their homes in the pogroms. The British Army had been committed to the streets 3 months before the provisional IRA came along. And so the provisional IRA came along as a response to all that sort of sectarian violence that was going on then.
This kind of argument, also made by Sinn Féin, is rejected by dissidents like CERU as evidence of double standards. They say that they're keeping the Republican flame, as they describe it, alive to be passed on to the next generation, and that armed action is always justifiable while there's British presence in Ireland. How do you feel when you hear them saying that?
You see, theoretically you can say that as long as there's a British presence in Ireland, that they've no right to be here, and therefore you have a right to would and take up arms against them. In theory, you could say that's, you know, in theory. But you also have a responsibility to say, if I do go out and take up arms against somebody, have a possibility of winning, have a possibility of achieving anything. And so far, the dissidents haven't. They've been more of a danger to people who live in areas like this, people who they're killing.
CRU sees itself keeping alive that traditional flame of armed republicanism, now abandoned in favour of politics by others like Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin. And it was that flame which in 2009 Martin McGuinness now famously tried to extinguish once and for all.
These people, they are traitors to the island of Ireland. They have betrayed the political desires, hopes and aspirations of all of the people who live on this island, and they don't deserve to be supported by anyone.
Martin McGuinness's words after the murder of PSNI officer Stephen Carroll indicated he believed armed struggle was no longer justified. Despite claiming to be simply a political movement, CRU has not distanced itself from armed struggle in the same way. On the morning after Lyra's murder, CRU issued a statement through its headquarters, Junior McDade House, blaming Lyra's death on what it called incursion by the PSNI.
I would suggest to you as well that at that time when that statement was released via Junior McDade House, CRU was acting on behalf of the new IRA by putting out a statement, but given the utter revulsion since the murder of Lyra McKee, that CRU is attempting now to put distance between itself and the new IRA. You're saying there's no link at all. No one believes that.
I would reject that regarding the CRU statement that was put out, because the CRU statement was a CRU statement.
But we have heard the police in recent days say that they believe that Junior McDade House is both the hub and the voice of the new IRA.
Well, Junior McDade House is a building, so it can't be the voice of anything.
The police are referring to the people within it.
Well, the PSNI say a lot of things, and they're not always correct.
CRU and other dissident Republicans despise Sinn Féin for its landmark decision to support policing in 2007. Here's Jerry Adams speaking about the steps taken by Sinn Féin around that time.
We are actively encouraging people to work alongside the police in bringing about community safety measures, and we're also encouraging the police to win the confidence of the community.
That edition of the BBC's Hearts and Minds featured a teenager whose career in journalism was just beginning.
Not everyone under 18 wants to vote.
And not everyone under 18 is even interested in politics.
But those that are feel that they need a voice. Question is, will the government give them one?
Lyra McKee was just 17 then, a child of the peace process, speaking for her generation.
The thoughts of Lyra and Kieran, and I'm sure we'll be seeing them again.
But here in Derry in 2007, Republican action against drugs was becoming more active. As Sinn Féin moved to support policing, the dissenting provisionals of RAD began to target alleged drug dealers in paramilitary-style attacks. Many of those brutal attacks took place here in Cregan. Spotlight understands that one of the leading members of RAD during that period was current CRU member Thomas Ash Mellon. And Mellon is not the only CRU member in Derry who, according to sources, was in the leadership of RAD. Another is this man, Fergal Malloch. Last year, he wrote this article for CRU's website. While claiming to be a political activist now, sources say Malloch, like Mellon, can be traced back to the Provisional IRA, and at one time, he was linked to one of the IRA's most grave atrocities.
Four masked men took Patsy Gillespie from his home in a nearby housing estate while his family were held captive.
He was murdered when the IRA forced him to drive a device to the Buncrana Road checkpoint, effectively using him as a human bomb.
The morning after that bombing, Fergal Malloch was one of 6 men arrested by Gardaí in Donegal, just a few miles from the scene of the attack. He was charged with IRA membership, but denied it and was acquitted by a Dublin court. Sources have told Spotlight that police intelligence at the time linked Malloch to the human bomb attack. He was never charged in connection with it. We wrote to Fergal Malloch to ask him for his response to this allegation. He did not reply.
Despite police intelligence linking Mellon and Malloch to both provisional IRA membership and subsequently being in the leadership of RAD, the pair claim now to be simply Seru activists, and Seru maintains that it has no links with the new IRA.
I asked Seru's representative, Dee Fennell, whether he would call on the new IRA to lay down its weapons.
It would be very hard for any Republican to give a holistic answer that can qualify all eventualities with regards to armed struggle without leaving yourself open to prosecution. It's very, very hard to do that.
But what it's not difficult to do is to condemn what the new IRA did in Cregan, to say that you were morally appalled by it, that the new IRA should never engage in any violence in the future as a result of it. It should stop. It should never happen again.
With regards to Lyra McKee, if you're asking me to condemn the death of Lyra McKee, to condemn means to completely disapprove of something. That's what it means. I completely disapprove of Lyra McKee's death in the same way I completely disapprove of the death of any civilian.
I'm not asking you simply to express your disapproval of it. I'm asking you to say that you believe the new IRA should never again engage in violence. Why won't you say that?
Well, because, and again, it's very hard to answer.
It's not hard to answer.
It is hard to answer.
The prosecution to say
because
that
it's hard to answer. It's hard to answer because Republicans and people you've spoke to who quite clearly, as you've said, believe now isn't the time, that the time isn't right for armed struggle, don't disavow themselves from the potential of it being used in the future, nor do they say that it was futile in the past.
How did you feel when you heard about what happened to Lyra McKee?
I was absolutely devastated.
Why?
As the way it would be the death of any civilian, accidentally or intentionally. I was devastated. I think it was wrong. And I think that my heart absolutely went out to Lyra McKee's partner, her family, her friends, the community in which she lived.
You can see how those people,
that's a natural human reaction.
You can see how those people may see your words as very hollow on the basis that you won't call upon the new IRA not to engage in actions like that again in the future.
I think calling on the IRA to stop would be futile. Everyone who has done so in the past has failed when they've asked armed Republicans to stop. And I'm not going to get into futility.
Dee Fennell continued to put distance between Seru and the new IRA. But there was little gap in 2016 when Seru's Thomas Ash Mellon addressed its Ardèche, reading a statement from new IRA prisoners.
Republican prisoners in McGabry and Port Lisa jails are pleased to take this opportunity to express our full support for Seru.
Well, for those of you who don't have gaydar, I'm gay.
Around the same time, an older and more confident Lyra McKee was speaking out about the causes she believed in.
Within the LGBT community, we have a saying that we tell people, we tell them it gets better. And what I realised that day was that it gets better for some of us. It gets better for those of us who live long enough to see it get better.
Lyra McKee's adult life was defined by a determination to uncover the truth and seek justice. But will there be justice for her family and her friends? The PSNI has said it will seek to offer anonymity to any witnesses who go to court. That in itself, a recognition that in Cregan, long-standing suspicion of the police, along with new IRA intimidation, makes the PSNI's job much more difficult. You hope that she gets that justice?
Absolutely, that's the least that she deserves.
The people who are leading it are just as guilty. They provided the gun. They said, go shoot. You know, so they are just as guilty.
Blame.
Yeah.
And they should be brought to justice as well.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have hope of justice? Are you worried that you won't get justice?
I don't have hope for justice.
Why not?
because I don't think the evidence that the police need that they're ever going to get. I just don't. And I mean, like, it's a big, massive ask when we ask the people from that grouping that have the information. And I wish I wasn't so negative when it came to this, but I'm not very hopeful.
Do you think that people with information about Lyra McKee's murder should go to the police?
No.
Why not?
Well, Conor, I don't think it'll come as any surprise to you that Republicans would not encourage people to go to the PSNI with information regarding a Republican action.
By extension, it means you don't care whether her family gets justice or not.
Well, I do care.
Republicans like you talk about justice all the time, social justice, economic justice. Do you see that the logic of your argument about not going to the police means that her family have no prospect of justice whatsoever?
Well, they may have prospect of what they see as justice, but you've asked me a personal question and I've given you a personal answer.
Seru believes no one should go to the police about the new IRA's murder of Lyra McKee, and yet it still claims that it has no links whatsoever to the armed group.
Seru is an autonomous political party.
What links are there between the two?
There's no links between the two.
Completely separate?
Completely separate.
This picture on the wall here, what is that a picture of?
It looks to me like a picture of an IRA volunteer. It's been made publicly available and appeared in numerous media outlets.
It was reported at the time that this was taken a few minutes before a police Land Rover was hit with a grenade.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you got a picture of it in your office?
Well, why not?
Well, what I'm saying to you is that you're trying to completely separate Syria and the new IRA, and yet you have a picture here on your wall of a new IRA man engaged in armed action.
That is there as a recognition of different forms of resistance that's happening in Ireland at the minute.
So you can see how people who've lost loved ones, particularly in the recent past, will see a picture like that in this office and be absolutely horrified by it.
Well, they may well be, yeah.
And what do you say to them?
Well, what do you want me to say to them?
Sources have told Spotlight that police believe there are some who are members of both Seru and the new IRA, including two of the Seru activists standing outside Junior McDaid House on the day of the protest.
Security sources have told Spotlight that police believe the two of the men currently in the leadership of the new IRA in Derry are Fergal Malloch and Thomas Ashmelon.
We asked Thomas Ashmelon and Fergal Malloch to respond to this allegation. They did not reply. The family and friends of Lyra McKee now wait for justice. Memories of Lyra sustaining their determination.
Her heart was bigger than her wee body knew how to carry it. Her heart was immense, but Lyra didn't have a falter, and it was beautiful. And it just made you more comfortable with yourself, and that's the lasting gift that Lyra has left to me, is accepting yourself for who you are, and owning that.
Caring about everybody and everything. If you had something
if you were
wrong,
living and breathing, she cared.
Yeah,
that was Lyra.
Yeah.